They pounded on my door at 6 a.m. Uniforms pressed voices hard, a clipboard waving like a threat. And out by the curb sat Patricia in her white SUV, with that little queen of the block smile that says she's about to enjoy a show. I cracked the door, took one look at the badge numbers, the wrong county seal, the too shiny belt gear, and my gut said it plain as day. You're not real cops. They tried the script anyway. Mr. Mitchell, you have 24 hours to vacate for community violations. Open up now or face arrest. But I've spent 30 years as an insurance adjuster, reading bad paperwork and worse lies. So I let the chain hold and asked for names. Departments. A judge's signature, the things real officers carry without flinching. And in that 2-inch gap, I could see Patricia lifting her phone to catch my breakdown, yeah? That was the plan, the best part. And the reason her smile fell clean off her face was that the door finally swung open. And the person standing there wasn't a terrified old man. It was my son, Marcus, in full county deputy uniform. Calm as a winter pond voice, steady as he said, "County Sheriff's Office. Step back and identify yourselves right now. Back up a bit, because this mess didn't start with a knock. It started with paper cuts, the kind that bleed you slow after my divorce. When I finally thought peace might be mine again. I had my little corner house on Maple Street, a couple tomato plants, a quiet routine. My son visiting on weekends to fix the stuff my back complained about. And then here came Patricia, HOA president, all tidy hair and tighter rules. At first it was hedge height and porch color, the dumb stuff you grumble about while you trim and repaint. Then she started citing permit numbers from work. I did during the ugliest year of my marriage. Contractor names. I never said out loud on this street, even the model of my Anderson windows from 3 summers back. And that's when the fear got cold and specific because somebody was feeding her details. Regular folks don't know how to find. You know what I mean. I did the only thing my old job taught me to do when something smells off. I documented like it mattered. Photos with timestamps, every voicemail, saved a notebook that turned into a binder that turned into case files. And while I worked the paper side, the neighborhood changed its face on me. People who used to trade zucchini bread suddenly looked through me like I was contagious. And when they spoke, same lines, same cadence, community sécurité, safety, property values, immediate resolution, like they were reading cue cards. Judy from next door, a 5th grade teacher with a soft voice and a spine like steel, pulled me aside one evening and said, "David, this isn't how a healthy HOA sounds. What she's doing looks like a pattern document. It don't let her memory be the only record," and I nodded. Because that was already my plan, but hearing someone else say it steadied the ground under my feet. Then the sabotage crept in like ants. A sprinkler head. Clean snapped a fence post loosened, even though the screw was new last week. The GFCI by the side gate tripping under light load. And when I looked close, I found fresh tool marks where nobody had any business touching my stuff. So I installed a cheap camera kit for daylight coverage. Nothing fancy. And the footage showed an elderly neighbor on her routine walk, innocent as morning. And 30 seconds later, a man in a landscaping polo peeled off behind her, like he was her shadow. Slipped to my gate, bent over the outlet. 20 seconds. It made my hands shake, not because of the damage, but because I realized they were using that old woman's schedule as cover. Whoever was doing this had practiced. The bigger answer landed when I overheard Patricia on her driveway loud enough to carry, "Need acquisition completed before final rezoning vote." 6 months is firm, and those words were the red thread that made everything else line up. Acquisition vote timeline. So I sat down at my kitchen table with coffee and patience dug through public planning pages until I found a memo. ZR204156, our whole strip flagged for commercial rezoning within 6 months, and my little corner lot valued around $320,000. As a home would be worth north of $4 million when a drive-through and parking lot were allowed. And in that moment, I understood why she was hitting me with surgical fines and pretend legal threats. They were running a clock on me, push me to sell cheap before the map changed. I wish I told you I called a lawyer first, but I called Marcus, and when he came over and we spread the files across the table, he listened. Quietly, turned the pages like a man counting beats. Then he took out his badge and set it down. Like a confession. Dad, I asked for a local rotation when this started. I've been building an evidence file that a prosecutor will respect. We're not just going to survive this. We're going to end it. Right. That was the twist I didn't see coming. My kid, who used to mow the back lawn in crooked lines, had been gathering witness statements, setting up proper chain of custody, installing motion cameras that hold up in court. And suddenly, everything I'd been carrying alone felt lighter by half. That happened. Meanwhile, Patricia staged a community center circus, a pretend hearing with folding tables like a courtroom citations read, with a shaky authority that collapsed the second you checked the code numbers. Bylaws altered. Without a real vote, threats to notify my mortgage, as if she were the state. And Judy sat there, taking notes. Like a stenographer, marking every time they skipped notice quorum procedure, the kind of stuff that sounds boring until it saves your life. Leonard, the former security guard, who'd been following Patricia around with a clipboard, kept losing his place. Sweat blooming on his collar. And after the show, he found me in the parking lot, with his voice torn right down the middle. She promised me consulting money, man. I'm behind on rent. I didn't know it was this. And Marcus looked him in the eye and said, "Then stop now. Tell the truth," and he did. So the morning of the knock wasn't an accident. It was a trap we set after. Leonard warned us they planned fake police for maximum shock, costume scripts, a rental car with a bolt-on light bar. And I had my cameras rolling the recorder tucked in the hall plant. Copies of everything in a big manila envelope by the door. And when those two showed up, I gave them the rope they offered fake warrants with numbers that don't exist wrong. Seal European date format. And just as they leaned in, Marcus opened the door and filled the frame with calm authority. "County Sheriff's Department, identify yourselves." Hands visible. Keyed his radio to dispatch, documented the scene out loud for evidence, and in under a minute, the panicked look on their faces said it all. Neighbors came out in bathrobes and bed hair. The world paused on our sidewalk. Judy called to Patricia from the curb. "Are you filming because you think this is legal, or because you know it isn't?" And Patricia tried to start the SUV without turning the key. That's how rattled she was, Tom Bradford, the developer who'd been lurking at the edges with investment timelines and soft threats, peeled off the block so fast he left his reputation in the tire marks. The responding unit arrived, the cuffs clicked the fake badges, and costumes were photographed and bagged, and Marcus read the charges like a man stating the weather. Impersonation, attempted extortion conspiracy, while Leonard handed over the template. Complaint files. Same grammar mistakes across multiple families. Same pressure phrases. A cut-and-paste campaign that finally met a shredder. News traveled faster than we did. Local stations put Patricia's MEG on at 6 and 10. Her real estate license slid from active to suspended Tom's company. Lawyered up 3 more families raised their hands to say, "Yeah, us too." Same script. Same scare tactics. And suddenly, this wasn't an HOA squabble. It was a pattern prosecutors love, because patterns tell juries who to believe. The court did the rest. Patricia took 3 years. Tom got 2. Leonard received probation and a chance to stand in front of rooms and say, "Don't sell your soul for rent." The county slapped asset protection around our properties so no one could play games while the case moved, and our HOA learned words like transparency and minutes and legal review. The hard way, Judy Waitudu won a board seat and started teaching neighbors how to spot harassment dressed up as policy. And I found myself giving little talks about documentation, like a church deacon preaching simple habits. Take pictures, use dates, save in 2s, because a paper trail is a spine. And when trouble comes, it keeps your story standing. The final signature happened on my porch. Judge Harrison. A pen stroke, a nod. Marcus in uniform by the same door where the actors panicked. Neighbors clapped. Cameras blinked. And when everyone finally went inside, I sat on the step and listened to the quiet return. The sound a house makes when it exhales. And Judy asked me the question that won't leave me alone. Does this end it, or does it just buy us time? And I told her the truth. It buys time because people who smell profit will always test fences. So we keep the lights on. We keep the notes. We answer the door with questions, not fear. Maybe I was a stubborn old man who fought too hard for a stack of lumber and memories, and maybe I caught a polite crime in daylight and hung a bell on it so other families would hear it coming. You know what I mean? Tell me what you see. A victim who got lucky, or a neighborhood that finally woke up. Drop your take in the comments. Argue it out. Tell us where the line is between protecting property values and preying on homeowners. And if you've watched fake authority crumble in front of the real thing, I want that story. Right here. Like the video. If you believe receipts. Beat rumors. Subscribe if you want more plain-spoken justice, and tell me who was right, who was wrong, and what you think a community truly owes. The people who actually live behind their doors.